What's up, guys? It is Ryan from the Fantasy Daydreamers, and I'm here to tell you about our Twitch. We are on every Monday and Wednesday at twitch.tv/Daydreamer Media. Hey, Ian. What?
Welcome into the Fantasy Daydreamers podcast. You guys can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FF Daydreamers. You guys can follow me. I am JJ. You guys can follow me at JJ Daydreamers. With me today, I have Keone.
Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone of all denominations. Oh, it is so good to be here today, and you can follow me on my Twitters where I'm posing great football analysis and also asking the world the tough questions like, what is the best Easter movie, and is it Jason X? The poll that's sweeping the nation. That's at Twitter at Daydreamer Keone.
What's up, guys? ROKKO. Daydreamer. That's where you can follow me on Twitter.
What's your name?
Oh, well, I already announced myself in the beginning of the podcast, Ryan.
I guess,
You know.
but before the music.
My bad. Well, if you forgot, listen to jamming out to the music. It is Ryan.
All right, let's jump into some news. Week 4 and New York Jets quarterback Zach Wilson is finally expected to start this week. How you guys feel about Zach Wilson and all his weapons there in New York?
Unsure and scared.
Yes, I have no idea what is going to happen. So this is a very tentative week for anybody who you potentially have from the Jets, including the running backs and Garrett Wilson. Let me know if anybody, maybe Tyler Conklin, but it is a wait and see week.
3 makes it a party. I agree. Jonathan Taylor did not practice on Wednesday. He's dealing with a toe injury. He's going to play, right?
I would imagine he has. Come on. He's.
Yeah.
You going to have Naheem Hines? Come on. Nah.
Christian McCaffrey did not practice on Wednesday either, dealing with a thigh injury. I feel like this is more of a rest day for the vet. He's often injured, needs as much rest as he can get.
Yeah, but this is kind of an injury that he's had, in the past, but he's looked good, and there's been nothing where it's like he's not going to play. It's just, the Wednesday practices are typically where guys can tend to sit out.
The thing is, people are so upset with Christian McCaffrey because he just hasn't had like a 30-point game,
Oh, well, he's been consistent though.
Yeah, exactly. He's not been bad.
No.
So,
yeah.
Dalvin Cook is considered day-to-day. He was not practicing on Wednesday. Again, they are in London this week facing the Saints. So got that early game. Wake up early if you want to watch it live. Don't forget about it. Set your alarms.
Get your tea and your jammy Dodgers and your Tim Tams, and do a Tim Tam slam just as the game starts.
Have beans with breakfast.
Good. Yes.
Cook does not play, then Madison, you start up?
Yeah. I think he's a good insurance policy for
Locked
this week.
in.
Yeah.
Locked in. All right. Tonight's game, Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback, the Samoan slingshot, as Keone calls him. He is questionable with that, quote, back injury. It will be a game-time decision. I think you still got to start the wide receivers, even if it is Teddy Dripwater that plays there. Drip, drip, drip. So, Waddle, you still got to start. Hill, you still got to start. And that is it from the Dolphins.
If it was Teddy, I think I might play Chase Edmonds.
Oh.
It might hurt you, but Teddy is known to chuck the ball a lot, quite often.
I am staying away from Chase Edmonds. Completely.
That's fair. And just to Teddy plays, I could see him definitely getting 7 targets.
Yeah.
But what does he do with those 7 targets?
I don't know. That's fair. But
DeAndre Swift did not practice. He's going to need to be significantly better to play. They're talking about holding him out through the bye week. So hopefully you've been listening to the podcast and you picked up Jamaal Williams, because Jamaal Williams is going to take over that backfield, I think, for the next couple of weeks.
And it's a good matchup this week for Jamaal Williams. But we'll talk about that, I think, a little bit later.
Justin Herbert, quarterback for the Chargers, had no setbacks against the Jaguars, so hopefully he just continues to get better. He's going to play through this injury, so even if he has to get multiple shots before games.
Yeah, so he didn't go back, but is he improving? But yeah, he's going to play, so it's up to the person who's the Justin Herbert manager to consider their options each week.
I'm hard pressed to find a better quarterback on waivers than Justin Herbert.
No,
I don't know if my soul could take that,
Honestly, you can't. So you'd have to trade, and don't trade him.
Yeah. David Montgomery did not practice. He's dealing with that ankle and knee injury. Again, hopefully you guys listen. You guys are going and picking up Herbert, Khalil Herbert, because it's going to be a big week for these backup running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Godwin returned to practice, as well as Julio Jones practicing, both getting in limited practice on Wednesday. Just good news. Hopefully Tampa, Mike Evans will be back this week, so hopefully Tampa Bay just gets those starting wide receivers back together, because that offense can be explosive if they were all there. They're kind of puttering out right now.
Yeah, and hopefully that game happens, I guess, but moreover, hopefully everybody in Florida is safe.
Yeah,
it's going to happen. It's just going to happen in Minnesota if they can't.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's going to happen. They'll just move it. Exactly.
Okay. But yeah, hope everybty in Florida and the
all
affected
the
regions are
listeners
safe.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I thought you were talking about Jaws earlier. You see that shark in the street?
No, I didn't.
I'll send you the clip. It's crazy.
Jameis Winston is expected to play, but did not practice on Wednesday. Andy Dalton was seen taking the QB1 snaps with a little bit of Taysom Hill mixed in. Little sprinkle of Taysom.
I like a little Andy Dalton for a little Alvin Kamara dump off.
The Red Rocket.
Yes. Taysom Hill streaming tight end this week?
Maybe?
No, never. I'm never doing it. Can't get me.
Fair enough.
Let me play him as quarterback.
Michael, why would you want to play him as quarterback but not tight end?
Because he got mixed in. He's going to play QB, dude.
But if he's going to play QB, play him as
I'd rather have Taysom Hill playing 50% of QB and just rushing the whole time than Geno Smith. Yeah, I said it.
Well, what I'm saying is you could go get a different.
I'm just talking shit, dude. I'm just talking shit. I'm just bullshitting.
Whenever you're talking shit.
I'm just bullshitting, bro.
All right, Michael Thomas did not practice, dealing with that foot injury. Didn't practice on Wednesday, so Andy Dalton might not have his wide receiver 1 there.
What are you talking about? It's Chris Olave.
He'll be there for sure. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't practice on Wednesday as well, dealing with an ankle injury. I think he plays, so they're just holding him out. Rest up. That'll do it for the news. Let's get into some start-sit questions.
You've got questions, we've got answers.
So if you guys have questions, go ahead and DM us or tag us on Twitter at FF Daydreamers. DM us on Instagram at FF Daydreamers with your questions. Maybe we'll answer them here on the podcast. First question: Terry McLaurin or Garrett Wilson? Terry McLaurin, wide receiver for the Washington Commanders. They're at Dallas this week. Garrett Wilson, rookie wide receiver for the New York Jets, playing with Zach Wilson at Pittsburgh. Who you guys got?
Give me Terry. I know Dallas defense is tough. Terry's number one on his team, and with Zach Wilson returning, I would like to wait and see, especially versus the Pittsburgh defense that, yes, they lost T.J. Watt, but they can still rush the passer. They're still going to be good. First game back with Wilson, I'd rather just wait. Give me Terry.
So, here's what I will say. The Commanders are tied for the most sacks allowed this season with 15. The other team being the allegedly improved Cincinnati Bengals. And the Cowboys have the most sacks by a team with 13. Those are two very bad stats for the Commanders' O-line and their offense. However, I'm still going with Terry McLaurin because he's been consistent, and I feel like they faced a similar situation last week going against Philadelphia, where they got 9 sacks, but Terry McLaurin still got over 100 yards. And with Garrett Wilson and Zach Wilson coming back, there's a layer of uncertainty that I can't fully get behind. So we're heading into spooky season. So scary Terry.
Yeah, I'm going with Terry McLaurin as well. That Wilson to Wilson connection could be strong, but I need to see it first. I really just don't believe in Zach Wilson. That he's that
they've
good.
never played together.
Yeah, exactly. Zach Wilson was not that great before the injury, so do we think he's really improved? He could improve, and this could end up being a great connection over the years. But first week, I don't want to see it. I think we saw, like you guys said, in against Philadelphia last week, Terry McLaurin is the number one receiver there in Washington still. I think there was some questions. Jahan Dotson's looked good. Curtis Samuel's looked good getting targets. But whenever they're down, it's Terry McLaurin still. So I'll take Terry. Next question. Christian Kirk at Philadelphia or James Conner at Carolina, or I have Higbee at San Francisco and Gerald Everett at Houston as the tight ends. I think they're saying that they could start a tight end and flex a tight end.
So this is for the flex position, I'm guessing, because of all the
different positions. So
okay.
I'm assuming.
Well, whoever asked this, please don't flex a tight end when you have James Conner and Christian Kirk, which leaves the tight ends alone.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Unless you have Kyle Pitts and, Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews, then you could do that. But...
Ryan, we're thinking the same thoughts here.
Yeah.
This was in my notes.
Are we friends?
Maybe.
For me, I'm going to go James Conner. He dropped a touchdown. Literally, he was got a little dumb pass at the 1 yard line last week and dropped it. If he does that, I think people feel a little better about him. Yeah, he's playing through the ankle injury, but he's still a guy who's getting touches in his offense. I'm going to go James Conner.
So I say the same sentiment with the tight ends. But Higbee is a decent tight end, but just not to flex. But I'll go with Christian Kirk.
I agree with you 100%. I would start Higbee over Everett.
Yes. I'll go with Christian Kirk, though, instead of James Conner, because I think the defense is going to, eat against the Jags, while the Jags have a little bit of a humble pie kind of game where they come off that huge win against the Chargers, but this is going to bring them back down. And they are improved, they've done very well this season. But we did see a 100-yard receiver against the Eagles last week in Terry McLaurin, and I don't see why it can't happen again. Christian Kirk can be a garbage time warrior. He's been proving Ryan right this season. So it's the battle of what he said versus his Eagles. He's the number 6 receiver on the year in fantasy. And Connor, he's not like the Panthers have buckled down against the run after week 1. You know, they buckled down against Barkley and Kamara, who I think are better than Connor is playing right now. He's only had 1 touchdown in no games over 60 total yards. So I'm going to go with Kirk, who I think can have a good game. Better game.
So I'm going to disagree, and I would start Gerald Everett at the tight end. Against Houston, even with Herbert's injury, I would still start Gerald Everett over Higbee. San Francisco might be the best defense in the league right now.
Cap, and they played shitty teams.
They're looking good.
They
though.
are really good defense, man. I agree. I just wanted to say that.
I just don't.
Higbee has 16 targets, though. That's like he's getting targeted a lot. I think Everett has 11. He has 11, I think.
Yeah. He's looking good and really has a definite shot at getting in the end zone this week. Christian Kirk, I don't trust against this Eagles defense. Yeah, he might get enough receptions to make up for his day, but I don't want to count on that, so I'm staying away. I go James Conner here. I lean James Conner here just barely. Dealing with the ankle injury. Carolina's looking really good. James Conner, like Ryan said, if he gets in the end zone that one time, things are looking better, but he's just not getting in the end zone like we wanted him to, like he was last year. It's really the Kyler Murray show whenever they get down to the goal line. So it's rough. I think you might start both tight ends. I definitely don't start Kirk, but I go Everett and Connor. Yeah. All right, last question. Jamaal Williams versus Seattle or Josh Jacobs versus Denver. And I'm rolling with Jamaal Williams with the caveat that DeAndre Swift doesn't play. If DeAndre Swift plays, this brings it a little bit closer, but I'm not expecting DeAndre Swift to play. So Williams will be the running back 1 in that case, going up against a bottom 8 defense against the running back position in fantasy points scored. He's getting the goal line touches, whether Swift is there or not. I expect a big day from Jamaal Williams.
Yeah, smash the Jamaal Williams start this week over Jacobs. Jacobs did have a really good week last week, but they faced the number 2 defense against the run in Denver, who's allowing less than 100 yards a game to the position and less than 16 points, fantasy points for running backs. Jamaal will be the starter probably, most likely, more than likely, and he's the RB7 on the year so far. The Seahawks are allowing over 20 fantasy points per game to the position, and I expect him to get a lot of yards. So Williams all the way.
I agree. Now, JJ, let's get back to this tight end. I think we should make a little bet later. I don't think we made a bet all season yet.
We haven't.
Let's do a little tight end bet, a little side wager.
All right. We'll talk about it after the podcast, and we'll put it out on Instagram or Twitter. Let you guys know what we land on. All right, that'll do it for the start sit questions.
Man, why do I love betting on tight ends?
Let's move on to our newest segment. What? A returning segment, actually. Consider the following.
Consider the following.
Keone, take it away.
Yes. So basically, this stemmed from something we had talked about previously, where in science, you need multiple pieces of datum or data to confidently, discuss a scientific matter or a trend or, where something is heading. And obviously, the more data you have, the better your conclusions can be. But basically, 1 point is a dot, 2 is a line, but 3, that's where you start to see a trend. So you need at least 3 points to see where a trend is heading. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to see something that's been, happening consistently over the past 3 weeks and is it a trend? You know? So I guess I will start. Unless anybody else wants to go ahead.
No, go for it.
Okay. So my trend revolves around Marcus Mariota. In game 1, he had 1 rushing touchdown and 1 fumble. In game 2, he had 2 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a fumble. In game 3, he had 1 passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, an interception, and 1 fumble. Besides being the QB-themed version of 12 Nights at Christmas, Mariota has fumbled in all 3 games. This leads me to believe
that he's a Butterfingers.
He is.
I like Butterfingers, by the way. Sorry,
they're
go.
delicious. They get caught in your teeth, but they're delicious.
I fucking hate it. I hate that part, but I love them.
He is obviously not securing the ball either on runs, which he does like to do, or in the pocket, which is a problem. This is going to hinder drives and lead him to games under 20 fantasy points. So while he might be a streaming option here or there, don't look for him to get above 20 points if the ball slips through his hands during a game. That's the trend.
All right, for me, I looked at the top 4 running backs drafted, right? So you got Jonathan Taylor, Chris McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler. Right now, all those guys are kind of letting you down a little bit. They're not showing out the way they need to show out. Basically, Jonathan Taylor, RB10, Chris McCaffrey, RB11, Derrick Henry, RB12, and Austin Eckler, RB21.
Oh.
Yeah. So that would have been really cool if they were all 4 in a row. But Austin Eckler kind of let us down there.
Wow.
Jonathan Taylor, bad game scripts. Basically, he was trailing the Chiefs most of the game, and then they got shut out by the Jags. Chris McCaffrey getting less targets and receptions than Rex Burkhead is hurting his fantasy value. Derrick Henry, again, a guy who's being very inefficient with his touches. I know the Raiders kind of solved that problem for everyone, but before then he was kind of struggling. And Austin Eckler can't run the ball, and he's not getting any goal line work. When I look at these top 4 running backs and what you spent on drafting them, Jonathan Taylor, Chris McCaffrey, I keep on my team. I think they're going to be better. But Derrick Henry and Austin Eckler, I think it's time to trade them. I actually agree with you. I looked into it when you were talking about it, Keone. That rushing work is horrible to watch when it's Austin Eckler. The O-line is getting better. I do think there's a quick passing game, but a running back can only get so many targets before it's just inefficient for the whole team. Derrick Henry looks slow. He looks very old, and I don't think his offense looks very good at all. Before they played the Raiders, they were averaging less than 13 points a game. Chris McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, I feel very good about them. Jonathan Taylor just had horrible game scripts. If this Colts team can get better, I think Jonathan Taylor will improve for everyone's fantasy team. And hopefully Baker passes Christian McCaffrey the ball.
All right, I'm going with James Robinson coming off an Achilles tear and Travis Etienne playing in his first NFL season. There was just a lot going against James Robinson coming into the season, and he's proved everyone wrong. Even his supporters, I don't think, could foresee the season that he is having. In 3 weeks, he's finished as a top 10 running back every single week, averaging 76 rushing yards, playing on 57% of the offensive snaps. He scored a touchdown in every single game. We have 3 weeks of Dougie P and this offense, and
Dougie P.
And one thing we see is they use James Robinson, and while he's not like a super explosive runner, he's not the busted and get outside. He runs hard. He is literally a try-hard that made it to become a professional running back. Like, it's just crazy to see. And the way that Travis Etienne, people have loved Travis Etienne, James Robinson's not going anywhere. We saw in week 1, a lot of questions around him. He played on 49% of the snaps, and he only saw 11 attempts. but he scored a touchdown. Week 2, he played on 63% of the snaps, touched the ball 23 times for 64 yards and scored a touchdown. And then he played on 58% of the snaps in this last week against the Chargers, touched the ball 17 times and scored a touchdown. Now, he's not the receiving back that will really explode him to be a top 10 running back at the end of the season. But if he's getting 58% of the snaps, 57% of the snaps, and touching the ball 15 to 20 times, getting 60 yards, and has a real shot at a touchdown, there's just a trend going for James Robinson that's just going up, 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 up all the way. So, James Robinson.
Good. And those were your trends to consider. The following of the trends.
Now let's get into the starts of the week.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
All right, who is someone you guys cannot wait to start this week?
I'm taking Keone's guy, Chris Olave. Back-to-back games, he has been absolutely on fire. I think getting over 100 yards in both of them. They're going against the Vikings, a team that's basically allowed Jared Goff and Jalen Hurts to throw all over them. I think Quez Watkins, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Josh Reynolds all got over 65 receiving yards in the last 2 games on them. They are letting people run free. I think Chris Olave, especially if Jameis plays, in an offense where Landry's banged up, Alvin Kamara's banged up, Michael Thomas is banged up. I mean, Jameis Winston's banged up. But he's the only healthy one. He's a speed demon, super athletic. I just think he hits deep shots. He's able to hit in the middle of the field. I think he goes off in London. He's going to bring the bridges down. My London bridge to go down. Yeah, you guys thought I was going to wait a week. I purposely picked this game so I could try that song again, boy. Worked out.
I like it.
Fantastic.
I wish I could go with Chris Olave too. Start Chris Olave.
You picked your first guy before me.
We'll talk about it after. There was technical difficulties. Whatever the copy that I had did not get sent over, where I had Chris Olave as my first guy. But that's okay. I'll pivot. I'll go with another rookie wide receiver, one that hasn't done anything yet, really, especially for fantasy. Treylon Burks, the rookie for the Tennessee Titans, the replacement for A.J. Brown, quote, replacement. We haven't really seen it yet, but going against the Colts this week, I expect the Titans and the Colts to have a shootout. Should be a pretty good game. And now it might be a running game, Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor going up against each other. But Treylon Burks taking a shot at the end zone. Seeing 5 or 6 targets with a couple receptions and throwing 50 to 70 yards. I'm hoping he gets in the end zone in what could be a divisional game that could be pretty good.
Yeah, that's fine. Treylon Burks can do well for you as long as the Colts win. So,
hey.
I'm gonna stick with the wide receiver position. So a lot of receivers to start this week. It's a guy, Tyler Lockett of Seattle. In each of the last 2 games, he's had 11 targets and 9 catches. He's averaged just over 91 yards in those 2 games, getting over 100 in this past game. He is a big option for Geno Smith, who, as I said earlier in the week, is above the league average in passing completion percentage, which is good for Tyler Lockett getting the ball and getting those passes and receptions. Geno is a viable QB to facilitate numbers from his receivers, and Lockett has quickly become the top receiver in Seattle. He is the number 1 receiver in targets with 26, receptions with 21, and yards with 211. The only thing he doesn't have is a touchdown, but going up against Detroit, who have given up 4 to the position so far, makes that a definite possibility. You like to see, and it's a thing that you like to see as well, you like to see him come back, and because it felt like he went away for a little while or just wasn't there. But now it's good to be like, oh yeah, Tyler Lockett. I remember he's a good fantasy player when he's getting the ball. So Tyler Lockett, consider starting him this week.
All right, my next guy is going to be Jamaal Williams. Denver Broncos going against the Raiders. Listen, the Raiders offense has been bad against pass-catching running backs, or just running backs in general. They even let Derrick Henry get like 6 receptions last week. They're giving up the fourth most receptions, and giving up the third most fantasy points to running backs. Jamaal Williams, I know he didn't get a touchdown last week. Melvin Gordon did it. I know this Broncos offense has been struggling. We've watched it multiple times now. But Jamaal Williams, I think, goes off in a divisional game. We're going to see week 1 Javonte when he gets these. Well, he got 12 targets. But I don't believe that's going to happen. But it's like 10 targets. Catches probably 8 of them. And he's scoring a touchdown. He's my start of the week.
I cannot wait to see that happen. Will make my fantasy teams happy. I'm going with a guy that hopefully you listen to Keone and you pick this guy up off your waiver wire on the waiver wire. I'm going with Marquise Brown as my start of the week.
How much was it, Keone?
A solid 96.1%.
Averaging 11.3 targets a game going up against the Carolina Panthers this week. I expect Hollywood to do big things, averaging 83.7 yards a game. Now, I don't expect him to see 14 receptions for 140 yards again like he did last week, but the last 2 weeks, 11 targets and 17 targets. This guy is getting the targets there from Kyler Murray, catching them. 60 yards and a touchdown. That's all you need. Start him up.
Well, there you go. I like it. You know,
Carolina, when we check, it should be 110%.
Yeah, it should. It better be.
Yeah.
Carolina's also not that great. I mean, they're not terrible, but they're not great against the wide receiver position. They give up fantasy points. Like 28.7, I think is.
That's
lower middle of the pack.
Right. So a guy who has a pretty good matchup this week and is kind of finally hitting his stride is Dameon Pierce, Houston Texans rookie running back. He's clearly been making those strides to be the guy for that team in the backfield. Not that there was much competition, but he's been getting more and more touches each week, starting with 12, then 16, and then last week almost doubling his week 1 load with 22 total touches. And, you know, it took him a few games to show what he's capable of and to kind of acclimate to the NFL as well. But I think he's shown that he's going to be a guy that should be on your team. He had over 100 scrimmage yards last week and got in the end zone for a nice RB10 finish in half PPR leagues. He goes against the Chargers, who just gave up nearly 150 yards to the position and have allowed more and more fantasy points to running backs each game. So Pierce is getting better while the Chargers' run defense is getting worse, especially with Bosa, who's going to be out for a while. So that's a big guy on that front line who's just not going to be, you know, adding pressure. So their ability to combat the run is not there. That is a beat-up team, and I think Dameon Pierce is going to take advantage of it and get a really good performance, enough for him to be a start for this week.
I'm just saying, Rex Burkhead dropped 28 on the Chargers last year.
I'm just saying,
RB4.
Texans winning this game again.
Bring
Sean Payton to the Chargers, bruh.
That'll do it for the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Go ahead and like, subscribe, follow, whatever it's called, wherever you're listening to this. Head over to our website, fantasydaydreamers.com, where we got articles coming out every week. Go ahead and go over and read those. Instagram, Twitter, follow us at FF Daydreamers. And follow us on Twitch, twitch.com/daydreamermedia. Go ahead and head over there, click the notification bell, and never miss whenever we go live. And stay dreaming.
Stay dreaming.
Oh, stay dreaming.
All right, let's hash out this tight end bet.
Ooh.
Higbee versus Everett. Is that what you're wanting to?
Yeah, let's do it, baby.